Good morning, Americans and humans. This is your favorite alien here on the morning of Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. Sitting in for Paul Harvey this morning. Stand by for a special comment. Well, as sitting in for Paul Harvey, my comments have to be different because I'm trying to make Paul Harvey relevant, especially in this day and age, to you. He tried so hard to get you guys to understand the problems, and you guys never did. So, Mr. Harvey, with your permission up there with the boss and my wife, I would like to do this special comment in your behalf to tell the people where they are now. Right now, humans, especially Europeans, Americans, and Chinese, you're in no man's land. Vladimir Putin has chosen total war. You people that are over 85 years old, especially over 90, know what I mean by total war. The United States practiced it. The Germans practiced it. And the Russians and the Japanese practiced it. Total war. Chinese know about it. The rape of Nanking before World War II and the invasion of Manchuria 1931 and 1937 when they invaded the rest of China and occupied a quarter of it. The Japanese was a total war. They performed what Putin was trying to do today. Occupied territory for their own needs. But did they get? They only got a quarter of the way from China. China was a very resourceful and big country. They didn't have much, but they fought them tooth and nail, and that's the only time that you saw the nationalist and the communist Chinese unite for one cause, China. That's what Russia is experiencing with Ukraine. Same thing that happened to the Japanese. But like the Japanese of the 1930s, Vladimir Putin never got the message. Because they kept on fighting 1937 to 41. In 1940, they decided to join the Axis powers with Germany and Italy. The Germans, they wanted to rid themselves of Slavs and Jews, but mostly Slavs. And Russians, whether you like it or not, you are Slavs and the Ukrainians are Slavs. And I mean S-L-A-V-S, Slavs. But the Germans are fighting like they're Slavs, S-L-O-B, Slavs. Americans has got a lot of that, and looks like the Russians do too, Slavs. And you're putting the world in the same way the Japanese put the world in the 1930s. The Germans, by starting World War II, invading Poland, and the Soviet Union did the same thing. They invaded Poland. Soviet Union got what they wanted, a buffer zone between them and the Germans. That's why they signed the Non-Aggression Pact. And they also, during the Non-Aggression Pact, decided to buffer themselves by acquiring Lithuania and Estonia. Yoo-hoo! Okay? Yes. The British and French, the Americans were still isolationist, and Roosevelt was doing everything possible to get in this war. He was antagonizing the Japanese with everything he could imagine. He was doing what the Americans are doing to Russia today. He was doing sanctions and holding back on this. Oh, you can't have this, you can't have that. Sanctioning this. We're not going to give you any more metal here. We're not going to give you any more oil. We're not going to give you any more of this. No more rubber. No more nothing. Yeah. Okay. The Japanese were just fighting the Chinese from 1931 to 1941. 10 years. And they didn't understand that fighting one person for that long and then trying to fight a bigger somebody who's sleeping is crazy. And this is what Putin doesn't understand. He can't back down. Same with the Japanese could not back down because they needed resources. He needs to have the territory because that is his kingdom. He wants to be powerful. The Japanese wanted territory to claim as their own in Asia, just like the Europeans, the Germans, and the Italians wanted to create a sphere of influence. China is trying to create a sphere of influence. But look what happened to the sphere of influence of the 1930s. Japan decided to attack Pearl Harbor, which cost them a war with the United States, which was sleeping at the time, and became a total war nation, just like Ukraine became a total war nation. It had more power than Ukraine does today. And it joined the rest of the world because it didn't want to join World War II, but the Germans and the Italians forced them to on the Eastern Front. Now this is the thing that has come to Bruce today. If you're Vladimir Putin, you should understand. The Germans have gone the other way, and they know about total war because they've been through it. The Americans bombed the hell out of them. Dresden? A lot of Germans lost their lives in Dresden. A lot of you Russians lost your lives in Stalingrad, remember? Leningrad, which is now St. Petersburg. You lost a lot of lives there. Moscow, well, you got kind of saved. But you had a territory and you didn't have anybody at the other end fighting you, so you could run to the Eastern Front. The Japanese were so concerned, they tried to keep the peace because Germans were fighting you. They didn't need a second front because they were fighting the Americans, so they kept the non-aggression pact with you guys going. Russians. Once you defeated the Germans, you decided, hey, we want a piece of the action over there. Instead of letting the other nations try to finish up Japan, you got into it. Sure, it was late in August, but you forced the Americans' hand with the nuclear weapon because they didn't want you in the Japanese situation. And I'm glad they did the atomic bombs because we would have had a hell of a mess today. Do you understand, humans, especially Americans, on this? Now we're engaged in Russia with a backing of China. And China should understand that they are in a no-win scenario here. They got a big military, yes. But if you back Russia, you're backing the wrong person. You're backing a nation who has the entire world against them. And the Japanese are looking at this, and that's why they went with sanctions, because they understood the problem. Russia could come after them. You could come after them, China. They know the problem. They know that they're sitting in no man's land over there in the Pacific. Poland knows the problem because they know that Russia wants them bad. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania knows the problem. So what are you going to do? Because Putin can't back down. He can't go back. He can't sign a treaty ending the war with Ukraine. He has to eliminate Ukraine. He knows he can't keep it. He's going to lose it eventually, whether it's now, 2 months from now, or whatever. But he wants to destroy the vestiges of the so-called democratic people and democratic government that existed in Ukraine. He wants to destroy that. So he's going to create a total war and eliminate them by burning the cities like the Americans did to Dresden, and the Russians did to Stalingrad, and the Americans did to Tokyo. Do you understand me, Americans? This is what you're looking forward to, World War III. You can't stop it. Putin put the genie out of the bottle, and you're going to have to fight him. You should fight him now and get him out of Ukraine. And the Chinese should have stayed and stay there and bite their time and bite their tongue, because they are in serious trouble. You fight alongside the Russians, you create World War III, and everybody loses. Nobody wins. This is your favorite alien, sitting in for Paul Harvey this morning. Good day.